everyone. I'd like to review the Reading 6 quiz, the second reading from Michael Gold's Jews Without Money. Question 1. Why does Michael Gold believe in the poor? Here's the section. Mother, Mama, I'm still bound to you by the cords of birth. I cannot forget you. I must remain faithful to the poor because I cannot be faithless to you. I believe in the poor because I have known you. So there's the answer. Now, what it means to believe in the poor, I mean, that's not so clear, but he believes in the poor because he's known his mother. The world must be made gracious for the poor. Mama, you taught me that. So his mother, obviously, is really mother and father, both incredibly important characters in this book. But his mother, as the example of, I don't know what example of a poor person who accepts being poor, but doesn't accept the world that creates these kind of inequalities. It's just really interesting. But yeah, he believes in the poor because he's known his mother. Question 2. On the east side, what happens when a family is to be evicted from their home? Very interesting. I mean, I don't know how widespread the practice was. But this is a section where he's talking about his mother. That when families evicted, his mother would go door to door begging for pennies from the neighbors to give to the families so they could hopefully keep their home. And he says, but this is an old custom on the east side. Whenever a family is to be evicted, the neighboring mothers put on their shawls and beg from door to door. Very interesting kind of compassion that people had for each other. Question 3. Who does the young Michael Gold want the Messiah to look like? And the answer to that is Buffalo Bill. Now, people like you and me aren't really clear about who Buffalo Bill is, but Buffalo Bill was a very famous folk hero, I think, at the time. So that's what, so it's quite interesting, actually, because it's obviously blending together the Jewish idea of the Messiah who will come and rectify the world with American pop culture and American history and very complicated. But that's, Buffalo Bill was to many young people, he was a hero and a man on a horse, and that's who he imagines the Messiah will come and look like Buffalo Bill rather than the way that he's described by his mother as a sort of a gentle, pale young person. Question 4. When Gold left school, he says he hated books. Why? His old teacher, as he's telling her that he's going to be leaving school at the age of 12 so he can support his family, gives him a book, and he says, I thanked her for the book and threw it under the bed when I got home. I never read a page in it or in any book for the next 5 years. I hated books. They were lies. They had nothing to do with life and work. So yeah, he hated books because he felt they were totally divorced from his reality, which was his life as it exists, and work, which is what he had to do to survive and to help his family to survive. So that sort of, he loved books before that, but now books were just sort of taunting him with a false life. The true life was the life of labor and oppression, struggle. So, at a certain point, obviously he became a writer and more of a reader again, but at least for that time, he hated books because they had nothing to do with his life and nothing to do with work. Finally, question 5, the end of the book. What does Gold say is the true Messiah? Well, it's not Buffalo Bill. It turns out to be the Workers' Revolution. It's when he becomes politicized as a young man, really becomes a leftist radical, that he finds who he really thinks is the true Messiah. And the true Messiah is revolution, workers' revolution. It's essentially socialist or communist revolution. The question I asked you in the discussion board was whether you thought that was, at least in his experience, whether revolution was really justified by the kind of childhood that he had. And most people looking at it said yes, interestingly enough. So that was the reading six quiz.